I've got my work voice on. Let's scratch that. Come back. Hi everyone, my name is Michelle, and I feel like I have lived a colourful life in my 30-something years of life. I feel like I have gotten to a stage in my life where I look back on my life and I'm like, firstly, God has been good. God has been so good. I'm not used to looking at the camera, so this feels really odd. Anyway, I don't know what to do with my hands either because I work in a job that means I talk to people and t-shirt. Anyway, let me give you a little testimony about how Michelle got to where Michelle is in her life. And I'm still figuring it out. I think this world that we live in it's progressing so fast, right? And so I just feel like we're having to just adapt and adjust to such a rapidly changing and evolving society. And honestly, I'm just figuring it out like most of you out here. I really am. So let me give you a little backstory to who I am. I was born in the UK 30 something years ago. And when I was about 4 years old, my parents decided to relocate to Nigeria. Long story short, we moved to Nigeria. Myself and my sister was 2 at the time. And we lived in Nigeria for how many years? 9 years? Yes, 9 years, because I returned to the UK at age 13. I turned 14 here. Yeah. So I lived an interesting life. I mean, I don't remember everything like before I was 5 years old. I just remember my 5th birthday in Nigeria wearing matching dresses with my sister, this pink dress, and what apparently I used to call my Kobe Jane shoes. Please help me find out. Did anybody else have Kobe Jane shoes, or did I make that up? Anyways, me and my sister had matching shoes and matching dress. It was a pink dress. I think it was like an organza type of fabric, and these white dolly shoes. I think they were white dolly shoes with a little baby heel. Kobe Jane shoes, as I used to call them. And Return of the Mac playing, if you know that song. When I try to tell you so, yes I did, but I guess you did. No, that played on my wedding day because honestly, like Google nostalgia, that song is there. Anyways, testimony 1. I have survived a few things in my life. We were robbed in Nigeria. One of my first earliest experiences was actually, I remember shooting. We had armed robbers break into our house. I think my dad was away that time. I don't know where he was exactly, but it was myself, my sister, and my mum in our house in Nigeria. I'm sure I was about 5 years old at that time. I heard what, of course, now to me, I know were gunshots. But what had happened was basically we had armed robbers break into our house in Nigeria. My sister was still very little. And so I think my mum, in the whole panic of like realizing what was going on, had put my sister on her back to my sister, and these people basically came, and God knows, I don't want to even think about what they tried to do to my mum, because they were basically asking my mum, they were like, oh yeah, put that child down in Yoruba, something like that. But anyway, my sister held on to my mum so tightly, and my mum was basically like, they're telling she doesn't want to come down. She doesn't want to come down. And so that kind of saved my mum from that situation. In the process of them threatening her, they smashed this like massive, like we had this big torchlight that was almost like knee length. They smashed it on my mum's head, and they were like, put that child down, put that child down. My sister was like, Mama, no, Mama, no. Anyway, I can make light of it now, but this is actually like triggering for some people, I'm sure. And my mum said to me, I was praying that you wouldn't wake up, because I was in a different room. My sister was obviously with my mum. I was praying you wouldn't wake up, because of course my fear was that they would shoot when they hear movement. And of course my little tiddly 4-year-old self, or 5-year-old self at the time, again, God knows what would have happened to my enemy child. So that's one of my earliest memories. Fast forward through my life in Nigeria. I went to primary school there, went to secondary school, started off my JS 1 to 3 there. I'm going to speak about my secondary school experience and why I would never send my children to Nigeria. I don't know what it's like now. Gosh, almost like 20 years later. But yeah, that's not a vibe. I won't recommend it. So yeah, God saved my life then. Another memory when I was in Nigeria, I used to get typhoid and malaria on a regular basis, man. Every summer holidays, it was like I visited the hospital before I visited home. I get admitted into hospital with superimposition of illnesses and always have to have an IV drip. And I remember the pain of whatever antibiotic they used to administer at the time. Oh, chloroquine. If you know, you know. But anyway, had that administered to me quite often. And, due to some non-aseptic techniques being utilized, if you know, I'm a healthcare professional, so just pardon my lingo, okay? Somehow they couldn't find my veins because your girl has like disappearing veins. I've got tiny stubborn veins that never like to come out. I still have that till today. They couldn't find my veins and they basically would try here, try here, try here, try here, nothing. They wanted to administer the antibiotics. Somehow they basically decided that they were going to put it in my foot, which is all well and good. If you find a vein there, you find a vein there. Cool. Only thing is, surely you change the cannula, you change the needle. But apparently they weren't doing that. So when they put that thing in my leg, not only did they put it in my leg, they also covered it with the brown skin colored plasters rather than the clear one. When you put a cannula in, usually in this country, and I'm sure many other countries, the cannula is clear. Now, honey, I had that brown plaster over my cannula site. So you couldn't quite see what was happening to the skin, the area around that leg. I some of you might know where I'm going with this, I don't know. But every time they would come to give me a push, a bolus of my injections, I would scream in pain. I would literally be like 5 men, staff, nursing staff, hospital staff, whatever, couldn't hold me down because the way I'd be screaming, accusing people of being witches and wizards, trying to kill me because it was so painful. Imagine this, I think I was probably about 8 years old at this time, 8, 9 years old. Eventually, my mum would be like, I think maybe, I don't know how long it took her for her to say, look, it's not normal. I've received these drips before. Why is it so painful for her? Take it off. Take that thing out because I don't think she's, something is wrong. They took it out. Guys, why was there a hole in my foot? This hole about this thick in my foot. It's a hole, so you can't stitch it together to, make up to cover the wound. It was just a hole. Imagine, I'm actually looking at my scar right now. Yeah, it was mad. Thank God my mum intervened when she did because Lord knows I may not have been able to use my leg. I might have ended up with an amputated leg. So I keep saying this because I'm like, again, God's intervention, God saved me because I literally could have died from sepsis or something else at that time. But somehow you go a bust case. Somehow they managed to do this honey dressing or whatever else to actually allow the wound to heal and let the skin sort of form something and heal over time. But I couldn't walk for a little bit, so I had to get carried. I remember going to church and then passing me from one person to another because I couldn't walk. And I don't know why they didn't get me crutches, but anyway. So that's testimony number 2. I'm saying this so that you understand that I have been aware from a very young age about God's divine intervention and God's deliverance from situations that could have literally meant that I wouldn't be here today. Why am I getting emotional? So that's my horrid experiences and testimonies from when I was in Nigeria. We relocated back to UK. Mum was like, you girls go and accept your birthright, go to school and go and study, get your degrees here, all of that stuff. So we relocated and, in my first year of living here, due to some family situations anyway, I lived with one of my favorite aunties now. But I lived with my auntie and during that time I got really unwell. It was a subtle unwellness. I started losing a lot of weight, drinking a lot of water, peeing a lot. What else? Recurrent yeast infections. Let me be real. I'm not going to be filtering anything out to protect her for self-preservation. Like, these are things as a young 13, 14-year-old. You don't know what's happening to you, but you're just going through the motions. I remember my math teacher at the time, Mr. Kaisamba, was like, "Oh, Michelle, you know what? You're losing a lot of weight. Are you sure you're okay?" Me and my 14-year-old self, as I was like, really? I was dying, but it is well. My mum came to visit me during that year, and she like burst out crying when she saw me, because she's like, this is not how I left you. Got some investigations done at the time. I think I went to the GP. The GP was like, she needs to go hospital stat after doing like a dipstick test on my urine. She is in what we called, well, at the time, actually, it was on the way to ketoacidosis. I put a little definition of what that is. But basically, I had diabetes. I was diagnosed with diabetes, type 1 diabetes at the time. But what the doctor said, and I remember this, if you had waited a few more days to weeks before you presented to hospital, she would have just not woken up. Like, she would have gone to sleep and not woken up. Like, that's basically what the doctor said, because I was slowly just wasting away. It's just so mad. But thank God for my mum showing up when she did. Again, my relationship with Christ throughout this period was pretty driven by the responsibilities or, like, obligation, because mum says, we're going to church, we go to church. I didn't really have any sort of ownership of my faith at the time. But yeah, in the last couple of years, let's just say in the last 5 years, I started to become a bit more. I started to take more ownership of my faith and my faith journey. I got baptized in November 2024. After I got engaged, actually, to my now husband, who I genuinely believe God brought into my life, because I think he came into my life and things just started to transform slowly. I didn't know, but it was behind the scenes, through the corners, things started to transform. So I met this husband of mine. I will tell you at a different time our little love story. Met him at work, a hospital that I was working at that I had no intention of being in, because actually people said that place is the pits of hell. Really, that trust was the pits of hell. But I met him there. Even when I was like giving up, I didn't care. Like, I wasn't really making any effort. As you can see, I don't really be wearing makeup anyway. So, but somehow, serendipity, or some people say coincidence. It's not a coincidence. I believe that it was God's divine alignment. He was at the same trust I was at a time where I was still trying to understand what I was meant to be doing in my life. And actually, to be honest, the dating market was pants. So I was really kind of like, whatever, whoever finds me will find me. I'm done with this. I had done one too many situationships for my liking anyway. And he was there. We got together, and I then had a partner in this faith journey. I had somebody who lived a completely different life than I did, and he helped me to get closer to Christ, because I don't know, he helped me feel like doing the right thing is normal. Being a good girl is normal. Being someone who's just like, I don't do that, I don't do that, I don't believe that, is normal. And he's very good at not conforming to the status quo and not conforming to what people think is cool. He's actually just a normal guy. And it was really just nice to just meet a normal guy, meet somebody who was raised in faith, and so made choices that were like based on his morals, which obviously were guided by faith. And yeah, a lot has happened, a lot of changes have happened. But then I just acknowledge, I think today I'm still on the journey, guys. I'm still on the journey. But meeting my husband was such a turning point in my life. And everything has come together. And I'm like, God, everything has happened the way it's happened to your glory. And so I am here today after one too many near-death experiences to your glory, Lord Jesus. I'm figuring it out, guys, and I want to share my story. I want to share my process. I want to share my thoughts. Also, I want to be realistic because I just feel like people have this, it's either you're just really, really polished. People feel like they need to have this polished, crafted, perfect, ideal life experience to be worthy of sharing it. And I don't want to do that. Like, it's been messy. It's been up. It's been down. I don't care about certain things, and that's okay. I don't care about being this polished, perfect version of me. Like, I have insecurities, and and you know what? I care about those insecurities, but I don't care necessarily to get them fixed. I think it's just the bad has to exist with the good for you to have a reference point to what's bad and what's good. Somewhere in the middle, but ultimately tied in together by faith and a love for Christ and what he's done for me and what I see him doing in the life of a lot of people. And in this very dark, twisted world, how it's so important to be anchored by Christ. Doesn't mean you're perfect. You're not going to be perfect. You're never going to be worthy. But I'm just trying to figure it out. And I want to take you guys along with me. So there's a bit about me. Gosh, I can't cram everything into however long this video is. But the key things you need to know about me is I am Michelle. I am a healthcare professional. Well, I work in the healthcare industry. I am transitioning from, being this young, vibrant, fun-loving A girl. One of my friends used to call me Mandem Glucose. Because, I liked being the object of affection. It's nice. I'm not even the buffest girl on town, but, I had a confidence and a little sauce about me. Still do. But to actually being able to have that, but still be like Christ-centered. I'm now married. So navigating those waters of being a wife, but still trying to hold on to the essence of who I am, which is fun-loving. I'm just a real girl, honey. I'm just a real girl. It's just, how do we navigate just being you and being okay with this version of you? Yeah, navigating that. So yeah, that's the purpose of this video. I hope it's still recording, God.